Roots run deep, petals flow. Fareham Florist pot. Hear the stories as they grow. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy the show.
You currently find me sitting at the desk on a very dark, very wet, very miserable Tuesday morning. It's around 7 a.m. as I record this. And thank you for joining me. My name is Sarah, and I am your host for today. Now, how about this? I actually had someone listen to my very first episode. I am genuinely in shock over it, because it wasn't even a friend or a family member. Although several people know I'm recording this, or I plan to, none of them have actually been told that the first episode is live, and that this one's now going to be. So this was a genuine person who just found me. And it's wonderful. I'm shocked and excited and happy in equal measures. I never actually expected any listeners until at least episode 10, which is when I planned to actually begin to share it with the world. I wanted to make sure that I had a good few episodes behind me before telling everyone. This was partly to keep myself going and stay on track, but also to ensure that I'm several steps ahead of any other florists who may now decide to start their own. It can be a really competitive world, and obviously, I want people to listen to me and not them. I do actually have 40 episodes recorded. Sometimes I can be organised, which I am certain I will have to edit before making them live. Life changes. There will be times when I might need to address something which is happening at that time. Right now, I can't tell what may happen between now and episode 40. I also might learn how to improve on the whole editing process. Because let's be honest, we all know that I'm basically winging it at this precise moment in time. In fact, the person who reached out to me was completely honest with me about a few things. But this is all new to me. And I am more than happy for someone else to do the editing for me, free of charge, of course, if anyone out there would like to. I did try to talk my brother and an old school friend into doing it for me. Both of them declined. Don't you think that's mean? Anyway, back to my listener. He dropped me an email via the email address queries@farehamfloristpod.co.uk with some really lovely and constructive feedback. I'm actually off to edit my next few episodes because of what he said. I've edited this one because of what he said. Yes, I will actually read every message that I receive. Sometimes I might even try to reply to them. My listener also asked me a question. His words, and I quote with his permission, "What made you decide to set up a podcast?" That, dear listeners, is a really good question, which I am happy to answer. Which is how the original episode I had planned for today has been cancelled, and you're listening to this episode instead. I'll explain to you why. Hello, lovely listeners. I'm briefly going to interrupt this episode. Forgive me, but I wish to speak to you directly. Producing this podcast takes time, energy, caffeine, and no small amount of courage. I create every episode independently, without a production team or external support. And whilst I am loving doing it, there are real costs involved in keeping it going. From hosting platforms and equipment, to editing software and script writing time, it's all adding up, far more than I initially anticipated. I completely understand that times are challenging for so many people right now, and support is never expected. However, if you are enjoying the show and would like to help me continue growing this little dream, you can do so by buying me a virtual coffee. If you would like to make a contribution, please visit www.buymeacoffee.com/Fareham Florist Pod. Every single contribution, no matter how small, will genuinely make a difference. I'm incredibly grateful for your support already as it is, whether that's through listening, sharing the pod, or helping me financially. Thank you for being here. Okay, back to the show. Originally, I planned to write a book. I would still love to see my words in print. But I knew it had to be about floristry because that's all I really knew. I do have a half-written thriller I started a few decades ago, but that's relying on my imagination, which can't always be that good. Whereas floristry, it doesn't have to rely on that because it's what I do. It's who I am. It's what I know. Now, I could have written a book about how to create a hand-tied bouquet or how to wrap a single rose, but there are so many of those out there, and YouTube videos. People have been doing it for years. In fact, the market is pretty much oversaturated with them. If I was going to talk about floristry or write about it, I wanted something different. I wanted something which shows the real side of floristry. The good, the bad, the light, the dark. The funny, the weird, and the absolutely terrifying. I wanted to share my experiences throughout my career. The people I've worked with, those who I've met, the customers who have had me crossing my legs to stop me from wetting myself where I've been laughing so hard. I've had others who have reduced me to tears, and a few that have made me so angry I've been known to kick a cupboard, which is really not like me because I try to be quite laid back about things. The door then falling off that cupboard only served to make me even angrier. Thankfully, those kinds of incidents are few and far between. I spent 3.5 years writing the book. I poured my heart and soul into it. I laughed as I remembered some of the experiences I was sharing. I felt my heartbeat raising as I tapped away at the keys, sharing some others. Finally, I had it completed. At this point, I remembered a family member of mine who was already a published author with many books available to her name, who said, "Edit, edit, edit." I took that advice. By the time I reached my 12th edit, I was really happy with everything. My manuscript was ready to be sent off to however many publishers I could reach who may be interested in such a book. I prepared myself for all the rejection letters. I was expecting them to come in at me, thick and fast. It was okay though. I had a backup plan. I was going to self-publish if they all said no. Then, one Sunday afternoon in January 2025, I realised my manuscript was stored in cloud services of companies whose ethics I felt didn't tie in with my own. Their association and endorsement of a certain individual didn't sit right with me, so I decided to move everything I had from those services over to my own Apple iCloud. Obviously Apple aren't that much better, but I figured it was better to only dance with one devil than a whole host of them. I downloaded the whole book, cover letters, forewords, notes, publisher lists, to the shop computer, before then uploading them to my iCloud. I proceeded to then delete them from everywhere else, really pleased with myself for having some principles I was sticking to, and got on with my day. A couple of weeks later, when the shop had quietened down a little, and enough to give me a few spare hours, I decided to get it all up together so I could begin sending it out to the publishers. The moment I realised what a huge mistake I had made had my stomach sinking. You're already one step ahead of me, aren't you? You would be correct. I had failed to check that everything had uploaded to my iCloud before I deleted it everywhere else. There were no notes, no publisher list, the foreword, thank yous, appendix, all missing. I did have sections A through to M, but N through to Z, they were gone, floating around in the great digital ether somewhere, never to be seen again. Did I cry? I can hear some of you asking. Amazingly, no. What I did do was spend several months berating myself. I was so angry at my stupidity. I'm usually on the ball with such things. I had it backed up with 3 different companies before my mistake, purely so that I knew if one company failed, I wouldn't lose anything. And then one moment of mad digital confidence came back to bite me on the backside. Hard. I've spent the past year trying to get the stories and experiences back up together. Luckily, because I was writing about my life, the things I've seen, the things I've done, things I've been part of, it wasn't difficult to get them all back and rewritten. It's not as though they were likely to alter in any way. And I'm almost finished. It's almost ready to go again. Any publishers out there who may be interested? My contact details are very easy to find. And a part of me hopes that one day I will still see my words in print. Then back in the autumn of last year, I'd caught up with all the TV series I'd been watching, so I thought I'd give podcast listening a go. Many of my friends listen to them when they're working. but it was never something I'd been interested in. I can't bear when radio DJs ramble away between songs. The irony of that when I'm sat here rambling away. Listening to a podcast didn't register on my radar. Do you know how many different ones there are out there? It could be quite overwhelming for a newbie. In the end, I decided to look for paranormal experiences. I mean, who doesn't love a good ghost story? That was how I came upon a podcast? What are they called? Anyway, it was called Haunted UK. I liked the host's voice and he told some really good tales. From him, I ended up listening to the How Haunted pod. Again, some of his episodes are worth listening to. Some are a little, though, in the style of Most Haunted, which is definitely not my thing. That show was so fake it was almost laughable. Then I came across the Ghost Story guys. Oh my goodness, I love them. They can be a little near the mark with some of their comments, but they tell some great stories, and the banter between the hosts is just wonderful. I often find myself belly laughing out loud because of them. They remind me of me and my best friend, when we used to take over the CB airwaves back in our younger days. It was talking about them and those days, and her, to my mum one evening, commenting about how we would have made the most terrible yet entertaining podcast duo, that the idea of starting one up popped into my head. My best friend passed away in 2012, so there's no way I'm going to be able to talk her into making us the most talked about podcast of all time because of how utterly awful we are. I have my thoughts and opinions on the paranormal, but not enough that I could turn them into a podcast. And there are already enough people out there sharing those experiences anyway. Then, like the infamous light bulb flicking off inside someone's head, it struck me. The book is probably never going to be published. Although, as I say, publishers, I am still open to offers. And I thought to myself, why not share those stories on a podcast instead? All I had to do was adapt my written experiences into a script, hook up a microphone, and whoosh, I was ready. It's actually not really that easy as I'm learning, but you all get the idea. So, dear listener, I really hope this answers your question. Thank you so much for asking me and for your feedback. I have taken it on board and will do my utmost to make sure that going forward, things run a lot smoother. Apologies to anyone who's opened up this episode expecting me to hear about getting stuck in a ditch whilst out delivering, or covering myself in a bucket of water. I can assure you those tales will be shared with you further down the line. As for the paranormal world, wow, if you're interested, go to YouTube. Look for My Haunted Hotel and find the episode that they shared on Friday the 23rd of January 2026. It was shared again on the following Sunday. Go exactly to the 11-minute mark. Yes, that is me holding the 2 cups of tea. It is also me in the very next clip, standing behind the beam. That's it for today. Thank you. I promise it will be flowers next time.
If you have enjoyed this episode, and I really do hope that you have, please feel free to share, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. This can make a really huge difference and helps others to find us. I appreciate all feedback, good and bad, but if you are going to leave negative feedback, please keep it constructive and be kind. I'm a florist after all.
Wait, there's more. Ba-da-da-da-da-dum. Ba-dum. Ba-da-da-da-da-dum.
You can also find us and share with everyone on the usual social media sites: Facebook, Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, Tumblr, Twitter, and any others which may pop up in between. Just look for Fareham Florist Pod. Please feel free to contact me with any questions you may have regarding any of the tales or experiences that I've shared, or just to do with being a general working florist. You can reach me via email. The address is farehamfloristpod@duck.com. That's DUCK for the duck. Are you a florist with your own stories, your own experiences that you would like me to share for you? If you are, I would love to hear from you. Again, you can reach me via the email address farehamfloristpod@duck.com, or you can drop me a WhatsApp on 073 671 87685. More than happy to keep you anonymous if you would like me to. If you would like me to give your business a mention, whether you run a florist, butcher, baker, or even a candlestick maker, I am more than happy to do so, providing your business is registered and trading legally. As a thank you, though, for my putting your details out there, and hopefully generating some new business for you, it would be really appreciated if you would be kind enough to make a donation to one of our nominated charities. These can be found on the webpage www.farehamfloristpod.co.uk.
That's it for today, where the petals gently sway. Thanks for sharing in the story and for your time with me today. Until next time when our paths will cross again.